It's Monday, the 3rd of July, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories today to kick off the financial year. Story number 1, house prices continue to rise, but the pace of growth has come off a touch, suggesting it may just take a while for prices to reach their peaks of last year.
That's right, Michael. The prices of homes rose in every capital city in June, with the exception of Hobart, where prices fell 0.3%. Across capital cities, CoreLogic's Home Value Index rose 1.1%, below the 1.2% pace in May. Since finding a floor in February, the index is up about 3.4%, but it's still about 6% below its highs of last year that occurred back in April last year. Leading the way last month was Sydney. Prices were up 1.7%, then Brisbane, then came in Adelaide and Perth. Melbourne came in at 0.7%, Darwin, and then Canberra. Again, it's about the lack of supply and migration pushing prices higher, Michael.
What about outside the capital cities, Sean?
Well, the regions also recorded a 4th consecutive month of increases, though at a 0.5% pace, fair bit slower than the capitals. Since February this year, the regional prices across the country are just 1.1% higher. Interestingly, regional Victoria is really a poor performer. In fact, over the last quarter, it's the only rest of state market where housing value trends remain negative.
So in terms then of the financial year, which obviously finished on the weekend, where did we end up?
Best performer was Perth over the financial year. Prices were up 2.5%. Adelaide was flat. Everywhere else went backwards. Hobart was down 13%. Canberra and Brisbane kind of down about 8 to 9%. Sydney and Melbourne down 5 to 6%. Median value of a home in Sydney is now $1,073,000. Melbourne at $762,000. The upshot is there's a housing recovery on, but with the exception of Perth, house prices still have a way to go before hitting new highs.
Okay, so that's the housing market, the biggest asset market in the country. It leads us very neatly on to story number 2, which is the equity market. How did the ASX 200 finish the financial year?
Well, it finished with a whimper on Friday, but all in all, it's been a pretty good year for equities. It jumped 9.67% for the financial year. Its lows were around September last year, highs in February this year. It's currently around 5% below those February peaks. In terms of sectors, 2022-23 was all about tech stocks, particularly WiseTech Global. The local tech sector index jumped 37% over the year. Next best were the utility companies, think Origin and AGL, that sector. Then material stocks, that includes the lithium companies, gold companies, so too Fortescue Metals, James Hardie Industries, etc. Other end of the spectrum, real estate stocks didn't do so well. They rose just 1.4%. You can mostly blame higher interest rates and people working from home for that. Consumer staples, think about Woolies and Coles in that sector, and healthcare stocks also underperform, Michael.
All right, so most of us hold equities in our super funds. Does this mean returns from our super funds should be better than the previous financial year? I say that with a lot of hope in my voice.
The previous financial year, median growth funds were down 3.3%, so they have to be better than that. People think they'll be up about 8% for the last financial year.
All right, that is good news. Now, story number 3, Sean, I keep banging on about the financial year, but June 30 is not as significant around the world as it is here in Australia, is it?
No, it's not. In the UK, the financial year ends on 5 April. Who knows why? In Japan, it ends on March 31. In the US, the tax year is about the same as the calendar year. So it's us that gets very excited about June 30 data. Having said that, Apple over the weekend, on June 30 US time, became the first company to ever close with a market valuation of more than $3 trillion US. Given the Aussie dollar is trading about 66.6 US cents, that's the equivalent of 4.5 trillion Aussie dollars for one company. Well north of what the whole ASX 200 is worth.
That is amazing. That is just an extraordinary stat. All right, on to story number 4, Sean. Young male lawyers hit a 6-figure salary before they turn 25, far more often than female counterparts, and that pay gap persists through the generations.
A survey of more than 12,000 lawyers in New South Wales shows the gender pay gap exists in the legal field regardless of age, years of admission, or where they work. In the under 25 age bracket, 1 in 9 male respondents reported an income above $100,000 compared to 1 in 25 women. About 1 in 3 men lawyers hit the $250,000 income in their 40s compared to 1 in 4 women. Experience isn't a determining factor. The report notes men reported earning more than women admitted in the same year in all sectors of practice. some improvement going on. 10 years ago, there was a 15 percentage point difference in the share of male and women solicitors earning more than $150,000. That's now 9 points. Still a long way to go, though, Michael.
Sure is. Last story number 5. Twitter is imposing a temporary cap on the number of tweets that accounts can see each day, a move that has sparked a pretty fierce backlash from some users.
Sure has. Twitter owner Elon Musk tweeted over the weekend that unverified users will be able to view as many as 600 posts daily, while Twitter Blue subscribers, where you pay, can see 6,000 posts. He later added the limits will be increased to 800 and 8,000 respectively. Then a few hours later went to 1,000 for unverified accounts and 10,000 for verified users. No matter how much you push it up, people were not happy. Following his announcement on the limits, the site's trending topics were dominated by complaints, with users posting about Twitter down and RIP Twitter.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 3rd of July, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. That comes with a daily interview as well. Today's interview is with Roger Montgomery, all about the best performing and the worst performing, a bunch of good companies that he's been keeping an eye on over the last year and what's coming up this year as well. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.